regrets, Coyote. We just come from such different sets of circumstance. I'm up all night in the studio and you're up early on your ranch. You'll be brushing out a broodmare's tail while the sun is ascending. I'll just be getting home with my reel-to-reel. There's no comprehending just how close to the bone and the skin and the eyes and the lips you can get. Still feel so alone and still feel related, like stations in some relay. You're not a hit-and-run driver, no, no, racing away. You just picked up a hitcher, a prisoner of the white lines of the freeway. Hey, how you doing? Justin here. Today we are checking out Coyote by Joni Mitchell. Incredible song, incredible songwriter. I've been in love with this song since I first heard it on the album Hyra, I think it's pronounced. I'm not exactly sure that's the right pronunciation, but I remember buying the record because I knew that Larry Carlton was on it and Jaco Pastorius, and I just wasn't expecting to get so into Joni Mitchell, but just a beautiful, beautiful writer, so deep. Incredible lyricist. Her phrasing's all over the place, like in a beautiful way. It's just, yeah, if you don't know that record, definitely go and check it out. One of the things about Joni Mitchell is that most of her songs use an interesting tuning. This one's no exception. This seems to be a fairly common tuning for her. It's pretty weird, and it makes for some really interesting and beautiful Lush chord grips that I'm not familiar with any other songs actually that use this tuning. So let me talk about that first of all. The low E string is tuning down to a C, so down 2 tones, quite a lot. The A string is going down a tone to a G, so we've got C, G. The D string is staying as it was. The G string is going down a tone to an F. The B string is going up a semitone to a C, and the thinner string, the E, is staying the same. So C, G, D, F, C, E. All of those notes together sound a little bit unusual. It's very airy, very kind of suspended sound. We do use that chord a little bit, but I want to talk a little bit about particularly the intro and kind of how I'm hearing it, because you do see lots of different names for these chords in different people's transcriptions, and this is kind of how I see it. In the intro, she's playing essentially an A chord. I'm using fingers 2, 3, and 4. I know I kind of regularly teach using an A chord, using fingers 1, 2, and 3 like that, but I think for this song, it seems to make more sense to use fingers 2, 3, and 4. Particularly, we're going to be moving that shape around a little bit. So when we've got this chord shape, what would normally be an A chord, the function and the notes we've got then is C, G, E, G. So it's still just a C triad. Then we've got a D here, and then back to the E again. So it's essentially just a C add 9 chord. Now here we still have that low C ringing out, but I'm really hearing it like it's a G13. So it's going from a C add 9 to this, which is a kind of a G13, I guess. G7 add 6, G13. I guess that's got to be the right name for it. It doesn't really matter, to be honest, what the names are. But so they're the 2 main grips that we need there for the intro. As we start to progress, we end up having this E flat chord. So let's just take them through go through the chords first of all. So this first one, I'm going to call it, well, probably just be the intro chord, but a C add 9, then G13 if you like, G13 / C if you want to give it a proper technical term, if you're going to play that thicker string. The chords that we need for the verse, we need an E flat. Now I'm calling this an E flat 6. Important thing here is, I just accidentally missed it, but you really want to make sure that thinner string is not ringing out, because it just sounds awful. So normally the underneath of the fingers or the underneath of the first finger will mute that, but just be careful. If you accidentally hit it, make sure you try and mute it up as soon as you can. It's just a pretty sour sound if you clashes with the melody as well. So it's definitely on that chord, make sure thinner string is muted. The next chord It's another kind of a G13, I guess. It's the same shape. It's like an A chord on the thickest 3 strings. Moving it up to the 7th fret. This time we definitely want that thinner string. It's another kind of a G13. Then it goes back to the intro riff. Then we have... Now this one, this is the full open chord. So I'm kind of think of it as a G add 11 to a G. Because then we've got just a straight sounding G. When we've got the 3rd and 4th fingers on the middle 2 strings, that's the 9th fret, we're barring the 7th fret. And then adding those 3rd and 4th fingers, the middle 2 strings. And then that all moves down 2 frets. So F add 11 to F, F add 11 again to F, and then we're back to the riff. And that's actually all of the chords. So we've got C add 9, G13 over C, if you want to call it that. E flat 6, making sure we don't play the thinner string. Same grip moved up there, G13. Then it's going back to the intro. Then we've got the full bar at the 7th fret, which is a G add 11. I'm trying to move my fingers out of the way. It's probably half blocking the camera off. But anyway, to a regular G by putting the 3rd and 4th fingers down 2 frets higher than the bar. It goes down a tone to the F add 11 to F, F add 11 again to F, and then back to the intro riff. And it's cycling around that. The chord progression itself is actually pretty interesting again. It's not a usual sort of a thing. It moves in ways that you might not anticipate, which makes it a little bit trickier to learn. I find it still challenging. I have to kind of think of where I am while I'm singing the song. I'm sure that's just going to be practice, but one of the things that you'll probably find if you start playing it and singing it together, that you need to kind of stay aware of that chord progression, because it is a little odd. Now, before we go through, play along and I'll sing through it and make sure that we get all of the chords in the right places, let's have a look at the intro and the rhythm of the strumming there, because it's kind of important. Again, one of the things that you notice if you watch Joni playing it live is the continuous motion of that hand. So this motion of the strumming hand wants to keep consistent. It's very groovy and kind of sexy in a way. It's got like there's a certain feel to it that she adds to it that's, really, really great. Again, a hard thing for me to cop while I'm trying to sing it as well, because it's already the phrasing of these songs. Her songs generally are quite difficult because she sings right across the beat all the time. It's almost like the guitar and the voice are disconnected. I don't know how she does it, because her time is really pretty special, and then she sings over the top of it so freely. It's hard to do that. But the rhythm for the intro. Now I'm going to show you. Start off with the standard one. In the very intro of the song, the first 4 times around, there's some variations, but that's not typical for the rest of the song. The generalization for that intro is this. So we have the A chord down, and then we have down on the bass strings, down, up, 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 up. And then that last up is where the fingers come off. And then on beat 4, there's a little slide up. I think it's from around the 2nd fret. It's not a very specific fret. You do see people writing down 3 to 7 or something like that, but it's just a gliss up the neck. 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1. 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1. Now, for the succession of upstrokes there, I'm actually pulsing the chord a little bit. So I'm relaxing it a little bit after I've played it and then pressing it down as I strum. And that gives it a slightly different flavor. If I just hold the chord down completely and go... So it's not quite right. You're having... So down, down, up, release, up, release, off, slide, down. I'm trying to kind of exaggerate it now. But you definitely want to practice that. You want it to All of those things, when you learn them, they're probably going to feel a little bit rigid. You want to practice it to the point where it just starts to feel easy. So now, I must say, one of the things the tricks that I use when I'm trying to look for the pocket of that kind of stuff is I smile. I make myself smile, even if I'm not feeling particularly happy. I force a smile, and I try and just really remember that I'm enjoying what I'm doing, that it's not like some torturous activity. I love playing guitar, so sometimes it helps to remember that and go, oh yeah, I love playing this song. Just trying to get myself in that, like, oh yeah, it feels really good kind of mode, rather than it being like and all kind of rigid, and trying to get it feeling really good. I think that's important. So let's just run that through nice and slowly a couple of times together. So 3, 4, 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. Now, as I mentioned in the very intro, there are a couple of variations. The first one, so it plays it straight, like I just showed you. Then the first variation, the chord comes off a little earlier. So you have this. Okay, so it's actually coming, the chord is lifting off on a downstroke. 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 3, 4, 1. It's coming off on beat 2. 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 3, 4, 1. Then it does the straight 1 again. Then 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. It's another variation there at the end. Now, until I'd started doing this lesson, I'd never transcribed those rhythm variations. I definitely was aware of them. It doesn't really matter too much, and especially if you're going to play the song and sing it, you might want to train yourself up to play that one, the standard version, just because the standard version appears in the rest of the song as well. And what I found personally is that since I started trying to practice those variations at the front, it made it more difficult to get the variations right in part of the song while I was singing over the top. Before I'd even noticed they were ever there, there was just one version, so I could set it on autopilot and it would kind of work its way through the rest of the song. But so yeah, learning the variations, maybe I'd set for way after you can play the rest of the song correctly first. So the rest of the song rhythmically is mostly going to be eighth notes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So on beat 1, you're strumming a little bit more on the bass strings. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. On beats 2 and 4, you're giving it a little bit more of an accent. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. But obviously it breaks into that intro riff from time to time as well. So let's go through and talk about that as a chord progression. So once the vocals start, we're starting off with the E flat for 2 bars. No regrets, Coyote. Then to the G13, so moving it up to the 7th fret. We just come from such different sets of circumstance. Intro. Up all night in the studios and you're up. Then we've got this G at 11, up early on your G. F at 11 to an F chord. F at 11 to an F chord. Then it's back to the intro. Back to the E flat. G13 is under the skin and the C like the intro. And then it's back to G to the G. F at 11 to an F chord. F at 11 to an F chord. Then it's back to the intro. E flat way. Then it's to the G13 for a whole 4 bars. The white line of the intro. Let's take that again. So E flat, no regrets, Coyote. To G13, we just come from such different sets of circumstance. Then we got the intro again, straight up to the 7th fret. G11 to the G, and it's F11 to an F chord, baby. And at 11 to an F chord, then it's back to the intro. E flat for 2 bars, G13 G to G, F at 11 to an F chord, F at 11 to an F chord, then you just gotta C at 9 like the intro, E flat to the wave, then it's 4 bars on G13, picture of the right lines of the freeway. Like I said, I found it a bit challenging to sing it and play it, especially later in the song where there's even more words and she keeps just crossing the bar lines like they're not even there. The melody is so strong that it still works. It's challenging if you're going to sing it and play it at the same time. I've had a few cracks. I'd love to do a cover of it, but I'm not really sure I'm capable vocally or even just to get the phrasing right, even if I could sing it in tune and make it sound nice. But hopefully you will. And it's a lovely tune just to play along with the original recording as well and play along with her. Do check out the version of The Last Waltz as well. That's a particularly beautiful version with Robbie Robertson on guitar. There's some great live ones with Pat Metheny playing guitar as well. Obviously Larry Carlton on the original one. It's like she plays with the best cats and she's such a great singer that it just, and songwriter. I mean, yeah, if you're not familiar with the work, go and check it out. And particularly the Higher album for me was the album that really kind of turned me onto her stuff. But there's plenty of other great records as well. If you love this, let me know what other Joni songs you'd like me to do lessons on, because I feel like I should do some more. Yeah, if you're over on YouTube, really appreciate you hitting that subscribe button, slap me a like, let me know in the comments about the other songs. Remember that there's loads of stuff over on the website that'll help you with this one, including a full tab for this song as well, or like the tuning and the chord grips and the rhythm. I guess it doesn't really need a full tab. That would just look completely confusing for this kind of tune. Anyways, hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you for plenty more very soon. You'll take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.